Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for meeting me here today at lunchtime on a beautiful Friday. Again, we are talking about ethics in action and the Code of Ethics, which details and spells out the responsibilities that we have as professionals in every real estate transaction that we are involved in. What the Realtor Code of Ethics means to us as realtors is that it applies to everyone with whom we work, because it is we have voluntarily agreed to abide by the Code of Ethics based on professionalism and protection of the public. As realtors, we are subject to disciplinary action and sanctions if we violate the duties imposed by the Code of Ethics. We have been covering each article of the Code of Ethics, and today we arrived at Article 10 of the Code of Ethics, which states that realtors shall not deny equal professional services to any person for reasons of race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Realtors shall not be parties to any plan or agreement to discriminate against a person or persons on the basis of any of these protected classes: race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Realtors in their real estate employment practices, and this applies to real estate offices and brokers who employ salespeople, shall not discriminate against any person or persons on the basis of any of the protected classes that I just mentioned. In Standard of Practice 10.1, when involved, and notice that I highlighted the word involved, in the sale or lease of a residence, realtors shall not volunteer information regarding the racial, religious, or ethnic composition of any neighborhood, nor shall they engage in any activity which may result in panic selling. However, realtors may provide other demographic information, such as when we provide third-party sources or resources that the client or consumer can use to make the decision whether that is the right place for them to live or to purchase. We cannot give the information directly to them. We can give them the resource where they can obtain that information. So I want to make that very clear. In Standard of Practice 10.2, notice I highlighted when not involved in the sale or lease, because this article applies to us whether we are involved in a real estate transaction or not. So realtors may provide demographic information related to a property, transaction, or professional assignment to a party if such demographic information is deemed by the realtor to be needed to assist with or complete in a manner consistent with Article 10 a real estate transaction or professional assignment, and B, is obtained or derived from a recognized, reliable, independent, and impartial source. The source of such information and any additions, deletions, modifications, interpretations, or other changes shall be disclosed in reasonable detail. So whether we are involved or not involved, it is, again, very important that we provide third-party resources that are reliable. In Standard of Practice 10.3, Realtors shall not print, display, or circulate any statement or advertisement with respect to selling or renting of a property that indicates any preference, limitations, or discrimination based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. One of the things that I have been doing during this series is that I have been providing case studies based on the particular um, article of the code that we have been dealing with or discussing. And in this particular article, I'm going to only cover a couple of them just to give you an idea of how some people have have gotten into trouble. In case study number 10.1, a minority couple called a realtor and expressed interest in purchasing a home in the $390,000 to $435,000 price range, with at least 3 bedrooms, a large lot, and located in the Cedar Ridge area of town. Being familiar with Cedar Ridge through handling of numerous listings in that area, the realtor explained that houses in Cedar Ridge generally sold in the price range from $540,000 to $660,000. The couple thereafter indicated that they would then like to see what was available within their budget. After further discussion with the couple concerning their financial circumstances and the maximum price range they could afford, the realtor concluded that the couple could not afford more than $412,500 as an absolute maximum. The couple was then shown homes which met their criteria as they had described. However, although the realtor discussed with the couple the amenities and assets of each of the properties, they expressed no interest in any of the homes of the properties shown. A few days later, the minority couple filed charges with the Professional Standards Administrator of the association, charging that the realtor violated Article 10, alleging that the realtor had violated based on racial steering in his service to the minority couple. Obviously, when something like this happens, the Professional Standards Administrator refers the case to the grievance committee, who then conducts a preliminary review and referred the complaint to a hearing. The realtor was duly noted and provided with an opportunity to make his response to the complaint. At the hearing, the complainants, the couple, elaborated upon their charge of the alleged racial steering by the realtor, telling the hearing panel that they had specifically expressed an interest in purchasing a home in Cedar Ridge area, but they were not shown any homes in that area. The realtor responded by producing email records documenting the housing preference of the couple as they had described it to him, including price range, and demonstrating that he had shown them a number of listings that met the requirements as expressed by them. Although admittedly, none of the properties were in the Cedar Ridge location, however, the realtor explained that he had advised the couple that there were no listings available in Cedar Ridge falling within their budgets. Further, the realtor produced listing and sales information concerning numerous homes in Cedar Ridge, which confirmed an average sales price of $540,000 to $660,000. In this case, this realtor has done everything that he was supposed to do, okay? And he still got in trouble because it is the perception of the consumer whether they felt that we treated them fairly and found what they were looking for. And the key is having proof of the way we acted, because in any case, we are in front of a professional standards committee or panel. It is our obligation to prove our case. So the realtor told the hearing panel that he had in fact offered equal professional service to the minority couple by showing them properties which met the criteria they had presented to him. He pointed out to the hearing panel that the couple was charging with him with racial steering, which presumably they were relating to the denial of equal professional service. The realtor stated if there were listings in Cedar Ridge in the $390 to $435 price range with at least 3 bedrooms and a large lot, and I had refused to show them such listings, then they might have a point in their charge. But there were no such listings available, nor have there been any at any time since the original development of Cedar Ridge, which was 5 years ago. I could not show them what did not and does not exist. The hearing panel then concluded that the realtor had properly met his obligation to offer equal professional service and was not in violation of Article 10 of the Code of Ethics. Now, in another situation, we have a realtor who on a Sunday morning, the person affiliated with an office was offered an email from a prospect, a recent college graduate who was moving into the city to take his first teaching job at Northwest High School. The prospect was married, had 2 young children, and was a veteran. After working with the prospect to determine his family could afford a 3-bedroom home in the $240,000 range, the realtor described available properties near Northwest High School and set up appointments to show the houses. That afternoon, the realtor showed the prospect and his wife 3 houses in neighborhoods near the school. On Monday, at a faculty meeting, the prospect met another prospect who was also moving into the city to take a teaching position at the same high school and who was also in the market for a home. So these are 2 consumers who meet each other. One of them is already working with this realtor. So the prospect was also married and with 2 young children and was also a veteran. So they were exactly the same, but here's where the realtor gets in trouble. So the prospect told his friend, the second prospect, about the realtor's knowledge of the market and about the VA financing and how helpful he had been. So here's a great opportunity of a referral. The second prospect called the realtor that afternoon and asked for the realtor by name. The realtor met the prospect and determined that the prospect could also afford a home in the $240,000 range. The prospect told the realtor that he was also a teacher at the Northwest High School and had been referred by his friend, the first prospect. The second prospect was of African American descent. The realtor showed the prospect houses in several neighborhoods undergoing racial transition, but did not show the prospect, this is the second prospect, homes in neighborhoods near the high school. The second prospect asked about houses closer to the Northwest High School, and the realtor replied that he had no knowledge of any homes in that area for which the prospect could qualify. The next day, while talking to each other, the 2 prospects were visiting each other, and the second prospect related his problems in finding a home near the high school and learned that the realtor had shown the first prospect several homes near the high school. So the second prospect filed a complaint with the Association of Realtors claiming that the realtor had discriminated against him and his family by not offering equal professional services. The complaint was reviewed by the grievance committee, and the realtor was charged with an alleged violation of Article 10, and the complaint was referred to the hearing panel of the association. At the hearing, the realtor admitted that he did not use the same efforts to show the second prospect properties in neighborhoods near the high school as he did with the first prospect, because he felt that the prospect and his family would feel more comfortable living in a racially integrated neighborhood. The hearing panel found that the realtor was in violation of Article 10 of the Code of Ethics. So the lesson here is that we have to provide equal service to our clients regardless of what their whether they are members of a protected class or not. The next case study I want to cover is one called Case Study 10-4, which has to do with marketing letters. A realtor listed a property in a new subdivision at the instruction of his client, the seller. The realtor did not enter the listing in the multiple listing service, did not place a for sale sign on the property, and did not advertise the property online. The seller had told the realtor that he wanted the sale handled quietly, with the new purchasers being people who would fit into the neighborhood, people with the same socioeconomic background as the other residents of the subdivision. Now, right there, we know not only from our requirement of knowing the Code of Ethics, but also license law, that we are not allowed to take a listing where our client intends to discriminate. Based on the conversation with the seller, the realtor his only marketing effort was mailing a letter to the other residents of the subdivision, inviting them to play a part in the decision of who your neighbor will be. If you know of someone who you would love to live in the neighborhood, please let them know of the availability of this home. Call me, and I will be happy to contact them and arrange a private showing. The realtor's marketing strategy came to the attention of another realtor whose mother lived in the subdivision. So this second realtor filed a complaint charging the marketing realtor with a violation of Article 10 of the Code of Ethics. At the hearing, the realtor told the hearing panel of receiving a copy of the marketing letter from his mother, who had recently moved to the subdivision, and advised the panel that he had checked the MLS for information on the property, had driven past the house to look at the for sale sign, and had searched online for any information on the property, and finding nothing. This is the second realtor who is making the complaint, concluded that the listing realtor's marketing strategy was to limit access to the property to individuals pre-selected by the current residents. In my mind, he said, this could only mean one thing. The realtor was deliberately discriminating against home buyers from other areas, or those with different backgrounds who would never have the opportunity to learn about the house's availability. Obviously, the listing realtor was directing all of his marketing energies into finding purchasers who would not disrupt the ethnic and economic character of the neighborhood. The realtor defended his actions by advising the panel that he was acting on the seller's instructions. The seller also appeared as a witness for the realtor and confirmed this fact, adding that he and the other residents of his block had an informal agreement that they would try to find suitable purchasers for their homes if they ever decided to sell. The seller felt that by broadening the marketing campaign to include all residents of the subdivision, he had increased the chances of finding such potential purchasers. The hearing panel found the realtor in violation of Article 10 of the Code of Ethics, and in their decision, the panel advised the realtor that no instruction from a client could absolve a realtor from the obligation to make properties available, to market properties without regard to race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, country or national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity, as expressed in Article 10. There was no doubt in the panel's opinion that the exclusive use of choose your neighbor letters to market the property was designed to circumvent the requirements of Article 10. So it is just so dangerous to try to do something and prevent eligible buyers from having the opportunity to print to see a property that they financially qualify for. In Standard of Practice 10.4, this has to do with employment practices. And it deals, as used in this article, real estate employment practices relates to employees and independent contractors providing real estate related services and the administrative and clerical staff directly supporting those individuals. So this one really applies to brokers who handle the management of a real estate office and handle the recruiting of agents into their office. In Standard of Practice 10-5, this was adopted last year in November at the National Convention of the NAR in November in 2020. And it came about because of what was going on in the country and complaints that were made against realtors from social media posts and from a lot of different things that were going on. As real estate professionals, we have to remember that we represent the realtor organization. And even if we are acting as in a personal page or something like that, that may be seen as discriminatory for our brand and for our business. So they created this brand new standard of practice where realtors must not use harassing speech, hate speech, epithets, or slurs based on race, color, religion, sex, handicap, familial status, national origin, sexual orientation, or gender identity. The National Association of Realtors has been working very diligently on creating ways for us realtors to be really aware of our obligation. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to play a video from the National Association of Realtors Fair Housing Policy, Brian Green, where he reaffirms our fair housing principles and shares why those principles matter in our current climate and examining racial inequality during the pandemic. Just give me 1 second.
Hi, I'm Brian Green. I'm the Director of Fair Housing Policy at NAR. Today we're going to talk about the importance of affirming fair housing principles in today's climate. Discrimination has no place in our business at all. In this current climate where we have a pandemic and we have greater recognition of ongoing systemic racism in our society, the work of the realtors is even more important because where you live determines health outcomes, education opportunities, the level of safety. All of these factors we know have some relation to housing and what opportunities are available to live in neighborhoods of good choice. So it's important more than ever that we as realtors ensure that people have a full range of housing opportunities that they seek. The role of realtors is to sell homes, and we want an open market where we can sell to people of all backgrounds. In addition to our code of ethics, NAR is reaffirming its commitment to fair housing principles through a number of initiatives. We have a fair housing plan, which we call the ACT plan, which ensures accountability, culture change, and training to make sure we're doing all that we can to eliminate discrimination in housing transactions. We recognize that even people who don't intend to discriminate can sometimes inadvertently treat people differently. That's one of the reasons why we asked the Perception Institute to work with us on developing implicit bias training. So we've created a video with them as a start to provide an overview of how implicit bias can enter into a real estate transaction. The Fair Housing Act makes it illegal to steer based on race or national origin or sex, any of the prohibited bases under the law. What that means is you cannot, as a real estate professional, decide what neighborhoods, what houses to tell people about based on their race. You need to tell people about all housing opportunities that they're interested in and not make judgments based on people's background on where they should live. Another way NAR is reaffirming fair housing principles is through our fair housing policy. NAR engages with HUD in supporting funding that addresses housing discrimination and through commenting on regulations that will support NAR and consumers. Discrimination distorts the marketplace. It prevents consumers from having the housing opportunities they deserve. It can deny real estate agents commissions, deny our neighborhoods the benefits of integration, and it can stifle our economy. So it's important for us to recognize that we all benefit from strong fair housing laws and from strong fair housing practices. There's a lot more that we can achieve as a country if we address these issues today. For more information on NAR's fair housing activities, visit our fair housing page at nar.realtor. Thank you and be well.
So this is one of the initiatives that has been provided by the National Association of Realtors. And I want to play you another video which talks about the specific initiatives that Mr. Green was talking about.
Hi, I'm Leslie Mucco, NAR Deputy General Counsel and Vice President, Legal Affairs. NAR's Fair Housing Action Plan, commonly referred to as ACT, stands for Accountability, Culture Change, and Training. Joining me today to talk about ACT, as well as best practices for complying with fair housing laws, is NAR's Vice President of Policy Advocacy, Brian Green. Brian, under the ACT plan, NAR recently released a new fair housing training called Fair Haven. What should members know?
Fair Haven is a new simulation training that requires users to respond to lifelike scenarios where housing discrimination may occur. The training provides users with customized feedback based on the user's decisions to help real estate professionals enhance their fair housing awareness.
The initial reviews of Fair Haven have been overwhelmingly positive, and the training is available to realtors free of charge at fairhaven.realtor. ACT also sets out to help realtors provide school information while avoiding fair housing pitfalls. To be clear, providing school information is not illegal under the Fair Housing Act, but it can be a slippery slope when reference to the quality of schools is used, for example, as a proxy for area demographics or to steer clients away from a particular area. One best practice here is for realtors to provide clients with objective data and to avoid substituting their perceptions of the community for hard evidence about the quality of a school.
That's right. Realtors can always direct people to third-party resources. We also recommend that real estate professionals direct clients to school district administrators to get objective, multifaceted information about area schools. Clients can also reach out to people with firsthand knowledge of a school, such as parents with children in the school district.
That's good advice. Shifting focus, let's talk about pocket listings. While pocket listings do not violate the Fair Housing Act, they do raise long-standing concerns about their potential to be used in a discriminatory manner. For example, using a pocket listing to market only to people of a certain race raises clear fair housing concerns. NAR's Clear Cooperation Policy, adopted last year, helps address these concerns by requiring that all publicly marketed listings be entered into the MLS within 1 business day. But what advice do you have for realtors who continue to use pocket listings or office exclusives to sell property?
Certainly, realtors should never use a pocket listing or office exclusive to restrict access to a property for discriminatory purpose. For example, I recently read a story where a real estate agent used a pocket listing to limit showings to people of a particular religion. After only one potential buyer came to the property, the seller fired the agent and hired a new one. That agent placed the listing on the MLS and sold the property at full asking price within a month. Not only did the first agent fail to serve the best interests of the client, as required by the Realtor Code of Ethics and state license law, the agent's actions violated the Fair Housing Act. While a pocket listing may be appropriate in some circumstances, generally speaking, putting a listing on the MLS not only best serves a client's interests, it also furthers fair housing by ensuring a listing is available to all potential buyers.
Thank you, Brian. These fair housing conversations are always ongoing. To learn more about ACT, the Fair Haven training, and fair housing issues in general, check out these resources. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Window to the Law.
So it is very important for us to know what our obligation is, but also what are the resources that we have available to us. So the second video that I played, it's basically just, this is a recap of the ACT program, which is Accountability, Culture Change, and Training. And Charlie Appler, the president of the National Association of Realtors for 2021, has issued a challenge to all realtor members, but especially anyone who is involved in any committee at any level of the association, whether it is at the local level, the state level, or the national level. I personally member at the state level and at the local level, and I have already taken the class, the Fair Housing, Fair Haven simulation, which is fabulous. I encourage everyone to take it. The implicit bias training I am in the process of doing right now, and the At Home with Diversity certification course I have had for many years, but they recently updated the information, and I am also planning to complete the recertification of that course before the end of the month. So I really encourage you all to go to nar.realtor/Fair Housing Challenge, and that is President Charlie Appler's challenge for all of us to use these resources in our efforts to retrain ourselves into how we can best serve our clients in our industry. So it is not enough to know, it's more important to practice what we know. I really appreciate your attendance today, and I really hope you learned something, and that the rest of the month, the Fair Housing Month, which is April, Fair Housing Month, gives you an opportunity to learn more about how to improve and increase your business by providing equal service to all. Thank you and have a wonderful day.